locked
Okay.
in for JDG.
Lissandra Gwen, I think it should be here. I love Lissandra with Viego. I mean, it's good in the Ahri, we know that much, but also with Viego, you both get the resets. You get the frozen thralls from Lissandra, and you get the resets from the Viego. Super devastating. And the Gwen as well.
Yeah.
No reason not to take it. I feel like Wayward was having, like, he was strong even when they were behind. Just wasn't able to find an opportunity to carry, but the laning phase, the set didn't feel like a good answer.
No.
So we'll see what JDG opt for here. I think Top Esports can be happy with what they have so far.
There's got to be something going on. Like we saw it happen in the first game where the Ahri was picked, Lissandra banned away. JDG opt into that as their second pick of the ban pick phase, but it is their first pick, which I find really interesting. And so as we get the Ezreal locked in here, we'll talk about that a little bit more. What do you think the theory or the thought process is here to really feel confident in taking the Ahri into what will be the Lissandra?
Well, I think we have, as much as we saw it work at MSI quite consistently, I think Xiaohu did a lot of work to make it such a prevalent pick. People talk about the fact that had a 100% win rate over, I think, 6 games. A lot of those games was Xiaohu picking up at the finals where he did make it work so effectively. It is a counter, but you have to pressure in lane. If you don't apply pressure onto the Ahri, she will just get to the point where she's comfortable. And also at level 6, like, as much as the Lissandra can lock you in place, it's very hard to even get to you with that mobility with cleanse as well. So it does work as a counter, but it's not one of those counters that are like auto win, like just brainless, like it guaranteed works. You have to make it work. But I think Knight is definitely a player who can do so. Now, look up the bans, we do see.
We didn't get the 5 jungle bans.
We don't get the 5 jungle bans. We do get the 5 mini carry bans as well.
Carry bans,
JDG repeat with the Ezreal. And now a bit of a 369 special. The Kennen comes in. It's something we saw consistently as a counter. We saw being played. 369 played this Kennen before everyone else was really in spring, but it also works very well into the Gwen. So they do have that counter response, not feeling confident in the set. Now, JackeyLove, got to see what he will take in this situation.
It's gotta be the Aphelios, right? It's gotta be the Aphelios. I feel like
the pool has been thinned
by 5.
I think one problem with the Aphelios in this composition is you are going to get outranged a decent amount. Ezreal doesn't really need to come close to you, and if Ahri and Kennen are coming close to you, it's probably just to CC and kill you, but they will opt to lock it in. Gale Force usage for JackeyLove will be really important here. But the question is, what support pick? It feels like they want a bit of engage. I prefer Nautilus on the patch. I think he benefited from the extra tankiness, whereas Leona, who was already really bulky, didn't feel like he gained too much. Alistair could make sense too to knock away the Kennen, but they do go for that Nautilus. That point and click CC, very effective against Ahri and Ezreal, who have so many dashes. And now it's up to JDG. What will they take in the support role to respond?
Where we see maybe the pick back up with the set flex. But I think we'll get the potentially tried and true frontline engager supports that we all know and love in the LPL that we haven't been getting as much of recently, and it is the classic Leona versus Nautilus matchup.
Yeah, so something I didn't expect to see as much. Leona, I feel like, struggled because one of the big things with Leona and Nautilus is they contribute quite a bit to all-in damage, and that's obviously a lot harder now with the increased tankiness. They're not as useful in terms of diving because diving is so much harder. Like, Leona isn't tanky enough with how strong the towers are, so I feel like it's surprising we get those coming out, but I guess both teams just want that engage tools from their support return into form. Ultimately, though, I think Top Esports can be really happy with this draft. I do feel like the Aphelios might struggle at times in getting up close to hit people, hit the right targets. But I think the Viego, Lissandra into Lee Sin, Ahri is fantastic. The Gwen is a really great pick. Yes, the Kennen is a difficult lane, is going to harass the Gwen down. But Wayward has shown that he can handle the set. If he can manage this lane, he is going to scale up into a monster. You have a ton of CC and lockdown to set you up to get you in range. So I really like the Top Esports comp, but I can like the comp all I want. It doesn't mean they're going to win. JDG, really convincing performance in that game 1. And ultimately, if Knight is going to make this counter matchup work, it's not just about this play. He needs Tian to come and assist him. They need to bully out the Ahri and shut her down pre-6.
Yeah, and it's so funny to me because I do still think that it's going to be a lot of that, first 15 minutes as it has been, at least in the first game of this series, and about who is getting those leads, who's feeling confident on the map itself, and really seeing where Kanavi leads this Lee Sin out to. Because I still think there's a lot of potential for the game to kind of explode open like it did last time, Aux.
Yeah, I think absolutely. Both junglers have a bit more playmaking. Obviously, the Viego tends to be better in the skirmishes. There's a lot of setup for this Lee Sin on the gank, so could make that happen. We'll see how it develops, but ultimately, mid jungle is a big pivotal point now. JDG potentially fishing for the Gwen. Wayward gets caught here. Doesn't have flash, only has the ghost. Could be devastating. But looks like he's not going to move up towards there. Question mark pings you can see coming out from top esports, and then the warning ping on top. They don't see anyone on the map. They don't see anyone covering. They assume it might be a heavy invade. You can see the warning pings there. So top esports not going to fall for that early play. And it's really important because, you know, it's already going to be a rough time in lane for Wayward. He kind of just has to mitigate the poke, survive with the Doran shield and the second wind. So did not want to make the laning phase any more painful for himself.
For sure. I want to go back to the overarching point of this series as a whole, right? It is the start of summer. It is just the very beginning of a very long LPL season into Worlds, where the top 4 can qualify potentially for Worlds itself. Both of these teams are going for that goal. They are both looking to make better on what they did in spring, be better than just the top 4 team, go for the trophy itself. And I think JDG showed up already. They were like, okay, we are here to represent. We've rolled out the red carpet. Now I'm waiting for TES to do so.
Yeah, they need to answer back in this game. Going down 2-0 first game of the split, it's not just about the standings aspect that might come in later in the season. It's also the confidence boosts. This is one of the bigger matches we're going to have in the early stages of the tournament.
This is the JDG TS match. This is the time we're going to see it.
It's a storied matchup. Yeah, and it's also, you know, we don't often see the top 4 go against each other just because there is 17 teams, right? Out of those 17, only 4 are in the top 4. As, you know, that's some simple math for you. But ultimately, top esports want to be able to take this win, want to be able to at least answer back in this game too. So far, though, JDG will find the push for level 2. Not too much of an issue for top esports, though. We see Knight has priority here. Will place down a ward. They also have a ward on red, but I think he'll time out before Kanavi gets there. But by knowing he hasn't done his red yet, they can kind of assume where he is and assume that he is now heading over to the red buff.
And this mid lane heavily pushed out by Knight himself. On the top side, though, 369 has taken up that mantle, has a big old wave to push into the tower against the Wayward. And Tian himself just looking to continue to farm up. Both junglers going for almost a full clear. Kanavi stopped before his Krugs to maybe get a little bit of action out onto the Rift, which I think is still super important to talk about going into this one. As these two junglers, we're still looking for that proactivity that I want. And we're still looking for that proactive play to come through, as Missing takes the engage. Zenith played on JackeyLove, gets a decent amount of damage put back.
You have to be kind of careful when you're playing Leona Ezreal, because Leona can engage over minions. And if Ezreal doesn't have a line of sight, you can be in a situation where you're not able to land Mystic Shots. Now, Mark looking.
There's a flash out, but Hope will eventually have to flash himself. So it's just a flash for a couple flashes for...
Yeah, I mean, that's a win.
Yeah.
Like, it's time committed there, sure. But if you look at the top lane, Wayward is shoved in on a tower. Dive is not going to happen on this patch. The tower's too powerful. So he can just get the reset off. And with that play bot lane, it's a 2-for-1 trade in summoners. I think they're absolutely happy with that one. Does open up some potential opportunities in the future for return gang. So nice play from Tian. He has a lot to live up to after that game 1 and a lot to sort of redeem himself on.
He does indeed. I will say, 369 stop in the back there on Wayward. A little bit cheeky in all actuality. But still, I think I want to go into the conversation of what if we don't see any of that early game activity that we necessarily saw last game. Do we think that, is it TES who come out with that late game scaling? Is it JDG who will come out with the team fighting we saw be so good for them last time?
I feel like I give the edge to top esports, but JDG still have a bunch of tools. I think the mid game spike is pretty big, right? Ezreal 2 items.
Oh my god.
Kennen can be devastating in team fights, Ahri as well. But ultimately, I feel like later game, you'd rather have the Viego, you'd rather have the Gwen. There's exhaust to shut down the Kennen. Aphelios will eventually outskill Ezreal, although to be honest, Ezreal's range advantage does make it sometimes difficult. But I'd kind of give the edge to top esports, but there is still a lot of opportunities for JDG to flourish later on. Yeah. And ultimately, if they come into the late game with a lead, they'll definitely feel comfortable. But if the game is slow, I think top esports are comfortable. But ultimately, Yagao didn't actually take the cleanse, surprisingly enough. We often saw the cleanse taken into Lissandra. Wasn't picked up here. has the spellbook, so it's an option at points, but not always available, and ultimately no cleanse on Hope as well. So a lot of value for Knight. If you land that Glacial Tomb, they are just stuck in place, which I think is really important. I've even seen at MSI those teams were like running double cleanse, like cleanse AD carry, cleanse mid against the Lissandra. So Knight should have a much easier time. Now, they haven't really managed to pressure Yagao early, especially considering Knight was really putting down the pressure in that game 1 in the mid lane, which does mean Yagao has now hit that level 6 and hasn't really been challenged in lane. But now Tian returning for the gank. No flash on Missing or Hope. If the dredge line connects, it should be a kill if they get it onto Missing.
Yeah, Mark is definitely looking for it, but Tian doesn't want to waste too much time down here. I did want to see if we were going to get that early game, if we are going to get anything around this early dragon here. It doesn't look like so, but both junglers will be hovering around this area here as the lanes go back to a bit of a standstill in this moment.
Yeah, we saw Yagao starting to move, had prio, and I think that was the signal that maybe this isn't the play to go for. We do actually see Spellbook has been used by Yagao to have that cleanse, so not really threatened much by Knight's level 6. But now, Ken is looking. Kanavi's here. No level 6 for either jungler.
They don't know Kanavi is here either. He snuck through the alcove just like he did in the top side without being on vision. So this means Tian is moving in here. I do believe that Kanavi will need to be seen now as he does. And everybody's coming down this way. We got a 4v4 fight. Missing gets engaged on, but that means that Kanavi goes back in. He needs to get out of there. Knight's here now with level 6 as well. Yagao trying to stop him from going in. There's the glacial prison, or the tomb rather, frozen tomb. And it is the first blood going to top esports, which in all actuality is such a momentum shift from game number 1.
And I just want to praise Mark for his play there. Really tentative approach. Engaged onto Missing. Didn't even go for the auto because he knows if he stays in melee range, he will get blown up. Missing had his W up, so he doesn't want to overcommit. And as a result, JDG instantly tried to turn on Mark. I mean, we'll get to see in the replay so we can look over at them, but just I want to highlight Mark's play. He was a pivotal reason why this roster succeeded in spring, coming into the lineup and making such a headway. But a good early play from Top Esports to get that kill.
Indeed, and something they really needed to get up on, especially with the lack of action early on. We were talking about proactivity, and that's huge to just get the whole squad involved. Even if the kill goes to Mark, it's about getting TS on the board, which they were not able to do so easily last game.
Yeah, did burn flash from both jungle and mid though, so that's a bit of an advantage between those two in this mid lane matchup. Tian does now have that level 6 then, and I love this Lissandra Viego combo. I talked about in the lane, the draft, the double reset mechanic. They can be devastating in skirmishes, and it's about if you get that initial kill, but there's also reset mechanics on the side of JDG with the Ahri, with the fact you get an extra stack on the ult. So I feel like a lot of these fights will be kind of swung on who gets that initial kill and can find the momentum going forward. If Top Esports struggle, it could make all the difference for JDG.
It absolutely could, and I think that's where you look towards this budding potential. 8.5 minutes in, we still haven't gotten any objective focus, but now we get the Rift Herald, which is the most important thing that LPL always want to fight over, even in the summer split, even with the durability patch, and it will be JDG picking up that first objective.
Yeah, and Top Esports quickly realize they can't contest and start to move down. Remember, no flashes mid jungle as they just hit on, so don't really want to go for that one when they don't have vision of the area. I thought they might have turned towards the dragon in return, but Tian takes the time to clear out his raptors, making sure they have control of mid. He's going to push in now and try and clear out some more vision, but has to be a bit careful he doesn't get engaged on. Yeah. Fishing for winners, I think now would be the time, right? You've got control of the area, you've got decent vision, you have prio mid and bot. Knight is just re-establishing that prio mid, so this should be the ticket to start off that dragon.
Yeah, and I think Kanavi kind of gave that one up for a while now, and it's just now Tian kind of realizing, we can go clear this out real quick. It is just the first dragon of the game. It is an ocean dragon to start us off. We'll see what our soul ends up being, but first dragon does go over to Top Esports, so a trade of neutral objectives early on.
Yeah, now Yagao might be caught out.
Ooh, almost the combo covered in, but smelled a little bit of spiciness coming out. Didn't even have to flash, just burned the Spirit Rush.
Oh, might have to rush. Oh, actually going in fear there.
The charm misses, and he might just get blown up here. Hope doesn't have the damage. Kanavi makes it out. What is this? Oh, that's a nice full flash. The kickback. Kanavi is going to go down to JackeyLove. Here comes the flash from Mark, but the flash immediately responded to by Hope and Missing as they lose their summoner spells.
And I thought it could be precarious for Top Esports. Yagao still had charges on his ult up. ends up overcommitting a bit, and top esports have the member. Remember, once the momentum is found, top esports can be really favored. I love the fact that Knight didn't really burn anything. Oh, now looking.
Gun still available for Yagao. Not going to use it there. And trading some damage back on the Knight, as the Frozen Tomb was still available as well.
I love the patience from Knight. He knows Yagao has cleanse, so he doesn't press R on him. Knows it would be a waste, but so the ult is burned from Yagao, so that's why JDG opted into this fight. They're like, we burned the ult, we still have charges, might as well make use. They go in, Charm doesn't connect, the re-engage is big, and Tian actually goes for the ult onto Yagao, but then look at this claw from Knight, cutting off Kanavi, gets the root, and even though he gets kicked away, JackeyLove can follow up for the kill. It's not a huge advantage, but a lot of summoners burn on the side of JDG. Flash from Kanavi, Hope, and missing. And it is still that kill for top esports. You know, it's early days, but a good start for them after that game one where they did kind of just get decimated.
It is indeed. And now Kanavi looking towards top side with the Rift Herald available. Just try to find something for JDG on the map themselves and looking anywhere. It's like a Jenga tower. You just got to keep pressing the blocks until something moves a little bit. And JDG are doing that right now with Kanavi up towards this top side. But Tian is right around the corner, and response is available, as you also see Knight roaming up towards this top side.
Yeah, and something I want to say as well, we'll hold that thought. We'll get to see the play first. Wayward looking for this.
There's the slicing maelstrom, though, and Wayward surviving. Kanavi gets outplayed. Tian gets the kill as well. Knight trying to chase down 369. If he gets the Frozen Tomb on top of it, spells his doom, and Tian picks up his second kill. The True Shot barrage goes wide.
That was close. Not able to find it, and ultimately a fantastic play from top esports, roaming up, expecting the pressure onto Wayward. They read Kanavi like a book, and we see Knight and Tian get the 2 kills. The power of this mid jungle really shining in this game. A stark difference from what we saw in game 1 with Tian really having Kanavi's number. It's 2-0-2 for the Viego. 100% kill participation so far. And something else I want to note as well, Wayward on the Gwen. Remember, this is a counter matchup. This is a matchup where we want to see the Kennen take over the laning phase. There isn't really a CS gap. It's very minor. 1 plate has been taken so far. Wayward doing a fantastic job of mitigating that pressure, and he will scale up to be a monster.
He will indeed. A little bit of greedy there for JDG as they stick around to get the plates. Tian wants to get the stun lock there on the Yagao, but they don't find it. Just a little bit of gold given over to JDG for that, but still no kills going over that way. And the Rift Herald early objective focus from JDG is utilized.
Yeah, so we can see a replay of that one. Wayward gets chunked here. And again, I'm bringing this up whenever we see someone go low. Durability changes. Wayward able to survive. Kanavi starts taking tower hits and just gets absolutely destroyed. Now, Knight. Not sure where we go in there. There's the True Shot barrage. Ends up going pretty close to where the reset is.
It was literally on target.
Just gets the reset time. I don't think it would have killed him. Yeah, I don't think it would have finished him off, but it was on target. And ultimately, Knight very patient with the ultimate. I think that's something we can say for Lissandra. He holds it until there's like a guaranteed he's going to get the follow-up. Did so there. Made sure 369 was going to get ulted into the root afterwards. One thing is, if you start ulting someone and lose vision, it can cancel the cast, and that will slow you down. So he just walked at him, made sure he got up to him, and then Chen was there to follow up. Really solid play coming out from those two.
A night and day difference, maybe literally, in this second game is the fact that you haven't even gotten your first item completed for Hope. You're still sitting on components. You're still waiting for a lot of that, and it's 14 minutes into the game, where I feel like we were a little bit further along last game for JDG, and maybe a little bit of that coming to bite them here. Gore Drinker has been completed for Kanavi. There's a little bit of a boost there, but all in all, it is complete control from TES across the map because of that proactivity we wanted to see from them that we are now seeing.
Yeah, we're seeing them make it work. And as well, the bot lane matchup. Before, you had Ezreal, Yuumi. The Yuumi obviously scales fantastically. The Ezreal really spikes in the mid game. But here, as much as Ezreal will still get the 2-item spike, you don't have that super scale and support. JackeyLove on the Aphelios will outscale you at a point. I do feel like the range advantage for Ezreal gives them a gap in the later stages, but in raw damage output, Aphelios definitely has the advantage. Does look like they're trying to start up this dragon. Would be second for top esports. There is a response coming in. We'll see top esports can fight this one.
It's a little bit scary, though. JDG are realizing they might need to put a little bit more respect on TES, as Tian gets the dragon. What about the fight, though? Missing, goes low, goes golden, though. Yagao using the spirit rush forward. This could be a big fight for JDG. The kickback, it's split focus, though.
Reset's
and
coming.
now Knight has joined the fight. You cannot split your focus like that, JDG, or they will wipe the floor with you. Everfrost doesn't connect, but the Frozen Tomb does. They get everybody but Yagao.
Yagao has to run away, and it felt like JDG was starting to find an advantage, but they don't kill anyone on top esports. The reset mechanics are there. As soon as they get one, it's like more and more and more are going to come in. We saw in the top lane, Wayward and 369 duking out, both burning ultimates, but nothing will come from it. But top esports, they get the dragon, they get the kills. They have a 5,000 gold lead now. And Tian, after, I'm going to be honest, a horrific game one, he has bounced back to the extreme.
That's what you need from a player that is so propped up as Tian, that has had such a good and honest track record of a player. We'll get to see a little bit more of that play.
Yeah, so it looks like initially the stopwatch from missing really good to buy time and waste ult from Tian. They're kiting backwards, but look at the chakrams on JackeyLove. He gets kicked in, but he's still doing so much DPS up close, helps get these resets, and as soon as Tian gets the Lee Sin reset, starts to go in, doesn't connect the Sonic Wave, unfortunately. Expected a dodge that didn't come, but they do manage to kill Hope. I think if the Sonic Wave connected, they might have got both, but either way, 3 kills for 0 and the dragon, and this could potentially be an early soul. This would be 25 minutes on that soul if top esports can secure the next 2. The Hextech soul as well would make would be really helpful in sort of chasing down these kills with the resets that extra slow. But for now, they're looking for that Herald, and JDG, they know this game is in a rough spot. They know they are behind. They are not looking to contest.
They are not. I think it's a good choice. As level 11 reach for Tian, also getting the Rift Herald at the same time. It has been pretty objective dominant from TES in the second game of the series, as it is just one Rift Herald going the way of JDG so far. But you see JDG grouping up in the mid lane, looking for their next window into this game.
Yeah, objective bounties are there, so if they can get any structures, it will make a big difference in terms of goal, but they aren't able to apply any pressure. JackeyLove just blitzes through the wave quite quickly. I feel like this kind of feels like a reverse of that game one, but this is the expectation. You think back to 2020 when we talked about the rivalry between these two teams, right? Spring, JDG had the edge in one. Summer, it was top esports. It feels like the legacy of these two teams has been fighting each other tooth and nail, and this continues in this series. A lot of people will look at that game one and think, wow, JDG far better. There's no way top esports bounce back, but they have really found their number in this game. Now, there is still potential, right? There's a lot of CC from JDG. If they manage to get a pick, if they manage to burst someone down, if the 369 and the Kennen gets a big flank and exhaust isn't available, maybe that's the chance. But top esports definitely have the edge now. They're gonna throw that Herald down mid and look for this tier 1.
It's like those small, like, little tiny bathroom windows. You know, it's like what it's a window that's it's like one of those. You gotta find that window, try to dive through there. Here's the window, though. This might be it, as TES are getting engaged on by JDG, and they're getting picked apart a little bit. Tian gets shut down there. Wayward has joined the fight, though, and he's using the needlework to do work on the missing. He does get the kill there in the end, and afterwards, 369 is just left on the backside, not deciding if he wanted to go in or not.
Well, it was a massive win for JDG. The fact they killed Tian, get that big shutdown in. I mean, it was Kanavi's the only one to kill who got the shutdown, so maybe not the best member, but ultimately Knight doing a fantastic job of stopping the flank from 369. 369 could have been in a prime position to devastate that fight with the Slicing Maelstrom, with the Rocket Bell and Flash available, but Knight just completely shuts him down, roots him as soon as he comes out from the TP, so really heads up play there to mitigate any potential losses.
JackeyLove's getting aggressive, and he goes right into the Slicing Maelstrom. Cleanse will not save you today, JackeyLove, and that is another big pickup for JDG.
Yeah, that was a real JackeyLove moment, I'll say that.
Absolutely
Going way too aggressive, trying to make the play. Both sums burn and goes down. And now JDG get that mid-tier 1. The gold lead was 6,000 before, closed down to about 3.5k. So fantastic work from JDG to mitigate. And ultimately, we do see the dragon spawning soon, but I think this favors top esports. JackeyLove will be alive to return. And with no ult or flash on the Kennen, I don't think they can fight this dragon, and this should be soul point for top esports.
Yeah, that's the thing about this whole situation is JDG are starting to claw back. You're starting to see the signs of life within the team. but they've already put themselves in such a hole, right? They've already spent like half the day digging out in the desert, a hole in the ground, and it's a little hard to get yourself out of there as TES still have a lot of strength around the map. You see it being contested here, though, in their blue side jungle by Yagao and Missing.
Yeah, you saw Knight and Mark trying to make a pick. They kind of knew that JDG would push in here because it's expected. They'll give up the dragon. Ultimately, they don't connect onto Missing, and he's a bit too tanky, and with Make Treads as well, wasn't going to go down, but Top Esports get the dragon. So goal lead definitely shortened. It's now only 3,000 in favor of Top Esports, keeping things at a reasonable level, but they are now one dragon away from that soul. 25 minutes is when that fight will be. JDG still have a lot of work to do. They did claw back the goal lead a bit, but still a long way to go before I'd say I feel confident in them.
Absolutely. We were talking before about some of the scaling aspects as well. It gets a little bit harder to talk about when it's still, you know, one way in this section with TES still being in the driver's seat, at least at this moment. But we do have a little bit of reprieve, a little bit of time here as JDG realize they need to play pretty respectfully still, even in these kinds of situations. But if you can get catch-outs on JackeyLove, that's where everything comes down well for them. They've already found one. 369 waiting here at the red buff, but will not actually go through. Yagao, Spirit rushing. JackeyLove realizes there's trouble over the horizon. Is it going to go down? Slicing Maelstrom comes through, and JackeyLove dies again. But here comes the reinforcements for TES. That is huge. They do already find two right off the back of it. 369 and Hope do die, and TES only losing the one member. Wait,
oh,
Tian?
You see him looking for more, though.
Tian wants it more. He doesn't have the Heartbreaker. Used it as mobility, but TES pushing in this mid lane. They'll get the outer tower.
Yeah, they look for JackeyLove. They know he has no sums from that previous fight where they picked him off, but it takes so long to kill him, and JackeyLove did a fantastic job of dipping and diving away from any skill shots. Don't let them connect easily, and that gives time for the rest to come in. You can see how quickly JDG changed their tune and wanted to disengage. Kanavi kicking away Tian to stop the fight from extending, because it really started to look painful when those resets were coming in. The AoE damage from the Lissandra, they do manage to get away, but still favorable in terms of kills towards Top Esports. That gold lead has started to expand once again with 3 minutes away from that Dragon Soul fight. And right now we have Knight with the Medjai's in pocket, 9 stacks. At 10, he gets that extra movement speed. Still very powerful. Wayward been farming up a Storm 202. Yeah,
it's been actually incredible when we're working. You know, you just got the dead man's plate for Tian as well. A little bit more tankiness, but as well as the ability to follow up and be around the map a little quicker as well. And I think that's huge going into the next few fights. We have about 2.5 minutes until the Dragon Soul comes up for TES. JDG obviously wanting to put a stop to that. Even 5 minutes would help, but we were talking a little bit about scaling earlier, and it's more so trying to find picks to feel confident in the game for JDG that they need right now. And it starts by little cheesy moments like this, seeing if Wayward will step up. Realizing he doesn't, so they back off, play respectfully, but it's just always fishing.
And I think at this point, we can kind of hone in on the dragon itself, because that's probably when the next fight's going to be. Sometimes teams do fish for fights like 2 minutes before the objective, because you can burn summoners, but like ult will be back up. But I'm not sure that'll happen here. Teams will be starting to get set up. The big thing to note is that Knight won't have his flash available for the fight. Hope won't have his flash available for the fight either, and Mark won't have his. I think Hope is kind of a significant one. Isn't Ezreal, though? We'll have the Arcane Shift, but a lot of summoners available, and that could be the difference maker. We see Yagao with a stopwatch. I think Stasis can be so powerful to bait in Tian with his ultimate, so important to watch out. Ideally, you want Tian to try and ult for a kill. A stopwatch or a flash comes in to mitigate, and then you burst him down before you can get the resets. But for now, Top Esports doing a lot of work establishing this control on the bot side. JDG are going to try and contest mid-prio to force them out, but it's going to be so difficult when they already have so much control of the area.
It will be an objective bounty claim by Yagao on the side lane for JDG. Not going to do too much of gold differential, but still at least something getting clawed back from JDG. Backs will probably need to be started here pretty soon, as Dragon coming up in about 55 seconds. But TES want to make sure they have quality assurance over the mid lane before they do start to position for that Dragon, which in all actuality, you know, they wouldn't necessarily have to fight over this. Jay could give one Dragon over to JDG and continue the scaling, but I would expect with the lead that they have, they would fight that.
Yeah, importantly, they have quite a bit of vision down, but Mark hasn't reset and has no wards left available. JDG just go for that fast reset. Remember, the Hextech gates will make you do it faster. So right now, the vision is better for top esports, but it's going to be hard to maintain if any does get cleared out. Now, they will secure that blue buff. Top esports positioning very aggressively, but that control ward we saw before is a prime TP ward 4369. We'll see if top esports end up checking that brush, but for now, JDG very tentatively approaching the area.
Knight's sitting in the base waiting to TP as well, just waiting for the angle.
Yeah, you can look. Look at that deep ward behind. I think that might be the one they use.
Ping shift utilized by Hope to get over the wall, join the rest
Oh,
of his
look,
team.
there's
the deep TP. That means JDG are going to start the fight before he can even get there. They found one. Wayward got the kill already, but they're grouping up the slicing maelstrom. Here comes Knight, though, and Wayward is on the backside here. It is a 2v1 on Knight, but Knight is taking them down slowly. Here comes Wayward to finish off the job. And that is a huge pickup. Yagao, the only one left for JDG.
And honestly, I'm going to say it, top esports kind of messed up a little bit that fight. The TP from Knight so deep, it took him so long to join the fight. JDG actually found some momentum, but there was one pivotal difference. Top esports had a Gwen, and it did Gwen things. Wayward completely taken over that fight. Gets the triple, gets the dragon. That is so secured for top esports, and things are looking real good for them in this game.
15 stacks on the Magi's. You've got 2 solo laners who are unkilled on TES. Let's see how that broke down.
Yeah, so initially they get that CC on a Tian, get him a little bit low, and then I feel like Mark engages too soon. The TP flank is so deep, and then 369 is closer. You can see this great kick onto Tian. They do not want the Viego getting resets. He gets taken out the fight. Mark goes down. The ult from 369 pretty good. The exhaust stops him from killing JackeyLove immediately. But this should be favored, but Wayward is unchecked. Full HP, running around the fight, decimating. Knight finally joins the fight and is there for the cleanup. So still goes in favor, but I feel like a big factor was the gold lead. If top esports were even there, that might have been a fight JDG could find, but the advantage in the wallet gives them enough to finish out the fight. They get the soul as well. They are now 5,000 gold in the lead once more, looking to set up around this Baron.
They are cruising ahead here to bring us to our first 3-game series of the day. We just got to see if they can round that one out. JDG definitely wants something to say about that. Trying to catch out Knight inside lane, but it's Knight, and he's on the Lissandra. That's just not going to happen. So now JDG needs to recoup, refocus, and try to find a way back into this game. As I still think the conversation begs to itself what we were saying earlier is like trying to find picks, trying to find a way to set up in a really good fight. But you've also got to keep an eye on the key pieces, right? Like we've seen Wayward get away with some dirty things in these fights by himself. Knight, with these big flanks, the setups, everything, the buying of time that Knight has had is so huge. And I just don't know how JDG picked that apart.
Yeah, I feel like it's so hard now because the scaling advantage is there for top esports. Wayward has picked up a force of nature, so Ahri and Kennen will tickle him. As long as they fight around Mark's exhaust, I mean, I don't even think they need to, but if they have exhaust up for the Kennen, he's never going to do that much damage. Ezreal is kind of falling off at this point, just isn't doing enough to punch through the Gwen. Plus, you have the Shroud as well to just make yourself immune. This Gwen is just too much of an issue right now. Knight's having a fantastic game, has double defensive items on the Medjais. You can even see JackeyLove has the Blood Disc and a Hex Drinker. It is really hard to kill anyone on top esports, and Wayward, he knows this, but there's 5 collapsing on him. 4 actually.
Everfrost doesn't connect. The charms aren't connecting. Wayward is surviving very, very long, but this is exactly what you highlighted earlier. This is where JDG commit to this. They lose across the map. They lose the Baron here, and they've only taken down Wayward.
Yeah, I mean, I actually think this might be the correct play for JDG. It was so hard to contest the Baron. At least they get something in return. It's hard to like sell this as a positive. It isn't a positive, but it's kind of, you were already doomed. At least you got something. But top esports, they know Wayward attracts so much pressure, so much manpower is needed to take him down. So as soon as JDG start to move members, and they did need 4 members to ensure they kill him, they can then easily secure the Baron. Now, JDG will look to get this tower as well and get an objective bounty off the back of this if they are quick, and should be able to disengage. So they get a little bit. I think when you're this far behind, getting anything is a positive to take away, but this doesn't really change the state of the game. And now top esports, they have the Baron, they have the Soul. It's 2.5 minutes until Elder, and they're looking for Yagao.
Oh, no. Oh, my God. They're going to double TP Yagao. I don't know what you did to TES.
Yes,
Maybe it was game number 1, but they are at you with a vengeance, and Wayward picks up the kill.
Yeah, I mean, just can't do anything there without the ultimate. Top Esports now have that pick and are looking to use that pressure to push down the towers. The big thing is if they push in heavily, if they stop JDG from getting any vision towards the dragon, it's going to be so hard to contest that Elder in 2 minutes. Any wards placed around the dragon area will have timed out by then. And JDG are just trying their best to clear the waves trapped inside their base.
Baron power play at the ready here so far. It's all about breaking down these inhib towers here at the next step for Top Esports. Get those super minions flowing into the base of JDG and have even more control around the map than they already do. Feels like they've been in the driver's seat this entire time with JDG just trying to stop them, ask them to pull over, go to the bathroom a couple times. We'll see TES move into the base, move into the mouths of JDG because they are dead and dusted. It is a full 5v5 fight that's just going all the way in TES's favor. And that's a big slicing maelstrom. The damage chart's going to reflect that one for 369, but the win will be reflected for TES as they close out game number 2. And I got my wish. We're going to game 3 in this classic rivalry matchup between TES and JDG.
Top Esports don't even want to leave it up to the Elder. They look for the engage, they find it, and even though it's a big Kennen, they have the tools to mitigate the damage. Everyone's so bulky and the goal difference too much. JDG had a fantastic game 1, but they are answered in kind with this game 2, and we'll be going to our 3rd game. Would you have it any other way between these two?
No other way. When we were setting this up, we're doing the research on the rivalry, getting some of those clips. It was like, this is so hype. The fact that we get to cover this game as one of the first of the season. Not only do we get the rivalry matchup, we get 2 of the best teams from spring coming in here, and it's delivering. It is absolutely delivering. You got to see Kanavi pop off in game number 1. Game number 2, TES come out with a vengeance and come out swinging themselves. Tian on the Viego was looking spicy. But those solo laners, the Gwen, the Lissandra, Knight, able to pull out so much on that Lissandra pick as well, Aux.
Yeah, and I think the mid jungle was really fantastic in setting up those early plays. Tian, who had a horrific game in game 1, gets the Viego. They ensure he gets a good jungler for himself. He has the impact. They're finding these plays. And in the fights, the momentum they had, if they got that early kill, the double reset mechanics was huge. And then even though I will say that fight around Dragon, the deep TP from Knight definitely left a potential window. Wayward at that point had hit critical mass on the Gwen and just absolutely cleaned up. I want to praise JackeyLove as well. Felt like in a lot of these fights, he was being focused quite heavily by JDG, often surviving a fair bit longer than you'd expect, and also pumping out a decent amount of damage on the Aphelios. I had concerns about this Aphelios, might struggle to get damage off by being outranged by the Ezreal, might struggle going up against the likes of a Kennen against an Ahri. But you can see here, he did the most damage off Top Esports, so consistently pumping the numbers in that game.
I wish I could, get a little bit of a zoom in on JackeyLove's face just for that, because there's a potential that he gets 15 bans thrown at him in this series if they go with the full 5 bans against JackeyLove again. But to be able to come out like that and know that, they are hardcore focusing you. Twitch didn't work out in game number 1, but Aphelios did in game 2.
You know how you were saying about the final ult for 369 that'll pump the charts?
Yeah.
Definitely did, right? And to be fair, I think 369 had some good Kennen ults, but we kind of saw this be a factor in the MSI finals where enough exhaust to answer Kennen, just fight around that cooldown, it can really mitigate his damage, his ability. And I also think in this game, they could heavily itemize magic resist. You see everyone on the side of Top Esports had a piece of magic resist. Bloodthirster and more for JackeyLove makes it so hard to burst him. And then on top of that, just, tools like the W from Wayward, Tian being able to go invulnerable when he gets a reset, Knight with the fact he has Banshees and Zhonya's and can ult himself, cleanse from JackeyLove. So many tools to make it difficult for this Kennen. So despite the fact 369 did a ton of damage in these fights, it just wasn't enough for them to take down Top Esports.
Yeah, and I think going into game 3, it's going to be a lot to learn from both of these teams, right? And especially with the way that the games have been approached so far, I feel like it's the proactivity. It's a lot of, who gets priority in lane, who utilizes that early, as we've seen in both games so far.
Yeah, I think jungle difference, we highlight this at the start of the day, right? That jungle matchup is going to be a big one. And I think both of these junglers definitely have their highs and lows. And it has been a complete flip between that game 1 and game 2. Game 1, Kanavi absolutely had Tian's number, and there was a counterpoint here, him being able to find these plays. My question is game 3, right? What's going to happen there? That's what we'll have to see. We've had 2 stomps so far. I feel like, well, not complete stomps. So it's definitely some back and forth. But I think both teams looked very in control when they got ahead. Will game 3 be a bit more even? I guess we got to find out.
I'm so excited. I cannot wait to get to this final game.